Before we dive into Gail Sherwood's case, I just want to offer a little information about common errors in sexual assault investigation that will help you to understand Gail's case better. End Violence Against Women International published the police training bulletin, Raped Then Jailed, after research began documenting that police routinely mishandle sexual assault investigations and that one of the regular and predictable results of such mishandling is that actual rape victims are wrongly prosecuted for false reporting. So there are 5 things that often characterize cases that are handled poorly and that result in the prosecution of the victim. And I've given a longer talk detailing these characteristics that is available on my YouTube channel, and that series is called Eliminating the Wheel of Fortune. So here in this video, I'm just going to share a very quick version of these characteristics to give some basic background of things to look for in Gail Sherwood's case. So the 5 warning signs of a failed rape investigation are when officers, first of all, start by disbelieving. In fact, sometimes they try to prove that the victim is lying from the outset so that they don't actually have to investigate the sexual assault. So that's a warning sign. A second warning sign is when they don't do a thorough investigation. Rather, they end the investigation quickly because, again, what they're thinking is, what's the point of investigating the case if they think that the victim is lying? Best practice, in contrast, is to fully investigate all reports of sexual assault because that is how you catch perpetrators. The third warning sign of a failed rape investigation is when officers rely on confirmation bias. In other words, when they only believe the evidence that agrees with their preconceived beliefs about the case and they ignore any evidence that doesn't support their preconceived beliefs, such as evidence that actually corroborates the victim's account of being sexually assaulted. A related warning factor is number 4, when officers cherry pick the evidence, particularly electronic evidence, meaning that they only pay attention to the evidence that supports their theory of what happened and they ignore the rest of the evidence. And then a final warning sign is when officers pressure the victim to retract her allegations and then they use that retraction to charge her with false reporting. So these are all signs of a failed rape investigation that could result in the prosecution of an actual victim. And now none of this is to say that all police officers do a bad job investigating rape. Absolutely that's not true, and far from it. There are many wonderful officers out there doing great work in this area, and one example are the hardworking detectives in Colorado who identified and built a case against rapist Mark O'Leary. They're one example of the great work being done, and this case is the focus of the Netflix series Unbelievable. Mark O'Leary is now serving a 327-year prison sentence for his crimes. Another great example of great work done is that done by FBI agent Lori Bander, who spent 5 years investigating stalker Michael McClellan in order to build enough evidence to send McClellan to prison for 10 years. So yes, there are fabulous, committed officers out there doing fantastic work in investigating sex crimes. But my focus here is on helping people to understand what goes wrong in cases where victims of sexual assault are improperly prosecuted for false reporting. These cases are typically handled by investigators who have not had particularly good training or experience in investigating sexual assault and who may also be influenced by rape myths and stereotypes, such as the myth that false reports of sexual assault are common and the myth that many women lie about being raped. So we will see whether any of these poor practices were at work in Gail's case.